Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 15th of March, 2022. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, that legislation that was being voted on in the EU Parliament surrounding proof of work that I spoke about the other day, whether it was yesterday or the other day, I can't exactly remember, that was voted down, actually, over the last 24 hours. So, it was 32 against, 24 in favor. Obviously, this is a big relief, as Patrick Hansen says here, and a political success for the Bitcoin and crypto community in the EU. So, there's a breakdown here in Patrick's thread that you can read. I'll link it in the YouTube description. But this is good. I mean, I know I mentioned the other day that I think it was kind of a slippery slope fallacy where people kind of basically said that, you know, if they were successful in going after proof of work, they being governments, they'd come after proof of stake next. I don't think that they were going after proof of work because it was a crypto thing. I think they were going after it because of all the kind of like stuff happening. Obviously, with the energy crisis, especially with the Ukraine-Russia conflict going on, the EU gets a lot of its oil from Russia, and obviously with the sanctions and things like that, that stuff is changing there. So I think that was a reaction to that rather than being a targeted attack against crypto. Now, as I mentioned the other day, I think that proof of work is going to have a hard time, and I mentioned this over the last few months. It's just going to have a hard time going forward, regardless of legislation like this. It's going to keep losing the narrative battle with the kind of like non-crypto people. Now, whether that matters or not is a whole different story. I don't think it matters too much in the long term, but I do think that, or at least I'm very glad that Ethereum, come the merge, which I'm going to talk a lot about in a sec, won't have to deal with this, right? We'll just be on proof of stake. We won't have to deal with any of the proof of work stuff. And I don't think they're going to be able to come after proof of stake, as I've mentioned. It's too difficult. Like, not only is it difficult to identify stakers, but it's also difficult to kind of like go after them and basically say, hey, you can't run this piece of software on your computer, right? Like, mining is a bit different because mining obviously has like a large footprint, a large kind of physical footprint, whereas staking does not, especially Ethereum proof of stake. Like, as I've said before, all my stakers run on my little staking box that you guys have seen in my old videos behind me, and that powers it just fine. I have no issues with that. Whereas if I was to do the equivalent in like a mining setup or a kind of like industrial miner, it would leave a much larger footprint. Even if I was doing it from home and just had like a bunch of GPUs around me, it would still use a lot of power and would still actually register with the power company. So I think from that perspective, I just don't see how they're going to go after proof of stake. Like, it's literally banning people from running a piece of software on their computer. And I mean, you can outlaw that. I mean, governments can outlaw that as much as they want, just like they've outlawed things in the past, software in the past. But you can't stop people from running it. I mean, like, how are you going to stop people from running the client software on their own machines? I mean, you can go after the client teams, but there's still going to be people picking that up, even if you go after the client teams. And that's kind of like a scorched earth approach then. And I don't see that going anywhere near that far. I feel like that's just way too much effort, way too much kind of like fighting for the government, because they have to fight this in the court and things like that. I don't know. I just don't see that happening at all. But I do see a lot of headwinds for proof of work. Whether justified or not, it doesn't matter what your opinion of proof of work is. If you think it's a good thing, a bad thing, whatever, there's going to be headwinds regardless. And I just don't see any of those same headwinds for proof of stake, which is obviously very beneficial. And it's not like Ethereum has just kind of decided, hey, we're changing the proof of stake because of this. It's been in the works for a very long time. Since Vitalik published the Ethereum white paper, he's been thinking about Ethereum as a proof of stake network. So that's what makes it even better, is that it's not just a reactionary thing for Ethereum. It's a long time coming. The merge is around the corner at this point, and we're going to be able to kind of do this at a time where I guess like attacks against proof of work is really ramping up. And I don't think Ethereum should waste its time battling or having, or fighting that battle, because it's just really, at the end of the day, it gets us bogged down, doesn't let us kind of continue to innovate and continue to build where we need to be building, because there's a lot of places that we still need to be building, guys. I mean, the merge is just, I guess, like, in the grand scheme of things, a small piece of the puzzle of the Ethereum roadmap. We have all these things coming down the pipeline, the sharding stuff, the continued layer 2 growth, the statelessness, snarkifying the base layer, all these sorts of upgrades that we've all seen in Vitalik's roadmap that he put out. That is not going away. We need to do that. We need to get that done. We need to implement it. And I'd rather we focus on all of that than focusing on fighting a battle against people that don't like proof of work. Leave that to Bitcoin. They can fight that battle. They don't have much else going on in their ecosystem anyway, so they have plenty of time to fight that battle. But I don't think it's one that they will quote unquote win. I think there's going to be compromise. I think that mining is just going to keep basically shifting around a little bit from geography to geography, which is totally fine. I think Bitcoin being able to kind of like ship out of China so quickly and get stored up elsewhere is actually kind of impressive. I didn't expect that. But at the same time, there's just going to be more and more headwinds as time goes on, whether you think it's justified or not here. But I guess good result here from the EU Parliament regarding the latest legislation. We'll see if there's anything else introduced and see how that plays out going forward. All right, so merge updates. Now, I think I know how to say this name or this word correctly now. I think it's Kiln. I know I say Kiln a lot, but it's Kiln. I think I learned this from a video. What was a video? Auntie Donna. It's a popular Australian YouTube channel. It's a comedian. It's a comedy channel, and they said Kiln, and I'm like, oh, I know that word. I'm saying it wrong, and yeah, okay, it said Kiln. So Kiln, the next iteration of the Ethereum merge testnet, as I've been talking about, is now live. So you can go to this official kind of like announcement blog post from the EF that Tim Byko shared, read all about it here. And I think in a couple of hours from when I'm recording this, the chains will actually merge. So it's estimated that we'll reach that TTD, the proof of work and proof of stake testnet chains on Kiln will merge together, and that'll be it, right? If that all goes smoothly, everything's fine, there's no major bugs, and we keep running and everything's working, that's the best possible outcome, and that means that we will get the kind of like next steps, which is basically merging Gurley and Ropsten and all that, and then moving on from that to mainnet. So as I said, guys, it's around the corner. It's so close. I'm talking about the merge every day now, pretty much, because it's so close to happening. It's March. We're halfway through March, and it could happen in June, like April, May, June, guys. It's like three months, maybe 4 months away. It's so close after waiting all these years, right? I mean, I haven't been in Ethereum since day one, but I've been waiting since early 2017, where people thought it was coming in 2017. It being proof of stake. And I've been waiting so long now, like 5 years, over 5 years now. And the fact that I can see it, I can just see it right there. Like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're almost there. And I can't even imagine what the feeling is like for someone like Vitalik and the early core devs that have been there since basically the beginning to finally see this all come to light. It's got to be an amazing and surreal feeling at the end of the day. So as I said, there's this blog post you can go check out that has instructions on how to join the Kiln testnet and how to kind of like participate in the whole thing, and be sure to do so if you are able and if you want to get involved here. Every little bit helps. Obviously, we want to test this as much as we can, as I mentioned before, because this is something we don't want to get wrong, definitely. So very, very excited to see all of this. I honestly, guys, like not even just within crypto, but just in general, like in my life, I have not been excited about something like the merge happening for a long time. Basically, like I mean, obviously, you guys know I bought a new house recently. That was super exciting and all that sorts of stuff. But I mean, this is just something different. Like this is something that I feel like I've had a hand in building through education, through getting more people on board, through spreading the message, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, not direct building as I'm not a developer, but I feel like I've had a hand in kind of definitely highlighting this and educating about it for years now. I have a blog post that I wrote in 2019 that spoke about Ethereum's move to proof of stake. It wasn't called the merge back then. But, I mean, I've been writing and talking about this stuff for ages, so it really feels like the community is finally going to be able to all come together for that one fateful kind of like day where we do the merge, and it's behind us, and Ethereum is never going back to proof of work, right? It's just going to be proof of stake network, and we can move on to upgrading the network and get back to our regular scheduled programming of regular kind of like network upgrades. And, I mean, I'm just as excited for Shanghai, the first network upgrade going live after the merge, because we have a couple of EIPs in there that are going to really help out L2s and get those fees on L2s for a swap to sub 10-cent transaction fees, or even on optimistic rollups. That's going to be super exciting. Even lower than that, we could get sub 5 cents. So that is just as exciting to me, because we basically have the merge, which obviously doesn't lower gas fees. You guys know that. That's, God, I have to repeat myself because it doesn't, guys. And I've seen a few of you guys correct people on Twitter and things like that, and I love that. But yeah, the merge itself doesn't do anything for the end user, right? The end user is not going to feel anything different. As I've said, the only change that the end user might feel is the block times getting slightly shorter from 13 seconds to 12 seconds. But other than that, it's going to be the same. They're going to send their transactions, they're going to be packaged into blocks, and that's all well and good. Whereas the EIPs that are coming with Shanghai to reduce costs for L2s, users are going to definitely feel that, right? Like everyone's going to feel that that's on an L2. So those sorts of things, I think I'm looking forward to for a different reason, but still very, very exciting all around that as well. But definitely check out this post. I'll link it in the YouTube description. All right, so we have Trent's 7th tweet about the merge. So at the merge, the 2 ETH POW, proof of work block reward, goes away. New issuance will only come from proof of stake validators proposing blocks, which is around 0.025 ETH per proposal of blocks, or a testing, aka voting on network state, which is 0.402 ETH, which you've probably seen if you monitor your validator on something like the Beacon Chain websites. There's 4.3% proof of work issuance right now. That's not accounting for the burn, by the way, going to 0.43% in proof of stake. And obviously that will go up if there's more ETH staked, but then there's more ETH being staked, which means that we're locking up more ETH, and it's all kind of like a self-balancing act there, which is really, really cool. So if you want to read some finer details about this, you can go to this, I guess, knowledge-based article from the Beacon Chain website here that goes into detail about it. It's linked in Trent's thread as well. But basically, guys, I've been talking about this for as long as I can remember, this massive issuance reduction. I tweeted out to say where I said the merge is not priced in. I don't think it is. I know the ETH price is doing nothing right now. It's like seems to be stuck at 2,500, just crabbing away. It does that, right? It does that, and it's done that plenty of times before, but it just surprises you at one point. I'm not saying that it's going to go up from here, it's going to go down from here. I don't know, like over the short term, but I really, truly believe that the merge is not priced in, because how many people honestly understand that this issuance reduction is coming? I mean, you still have people thinking that the merge lowers gas fees. You have people thinking that the merge results in 10 million ETH that's being staked right now automatically unlocking. Those are the two biggest bad narratives out there, and they're actually spread more, I guess, further. Or I guess they're more well known than the issuance reduction. So when you, which is codenamed the triple halvening, that Squish Chaos kind of coined that term. So when you kind of like take that into account, how could this possibly be priced in? How could the merge as a whole be priced in? I don't think it is. And then there's all the second order effects as well, which actually Superphiz touched on today in his tweet here about how Ethereum's move from proof of work to proof of stake will reduce our energy footprint, our being the Ethereum network's energy footprint, by 99.98%. Yes, that's right, guys, 99.98%. This is actually based on research. This is not just a number Superphiz threw out. This is based on hard research done a little while ago that was posted, I believe, to the Ethereum Foundation blog, that detailed just how, massive the energy cost reduction was going to be here. Now, this is what I mean by second order effects. As I was discussing earlier about proof of work versus proof of stake, there's going to be the second order effects of people being like, oh, wow, now Ethereum basically uses much less energy. It's not killing the environment. Whether you think proof of work kills the environment or not is another thing. It's just the narrative. This is what I'm talking about. People are going to suddenly be like, oh, wow, yeah, that's awesome. All the people that were kind of like hating on Ethereum and stuff like that. I know some of them are going to just like move the goalpost. That's all well and fine. That always happens. But just for the sake of the argument, these people are going to come around, and then Ethereum is going to have a much better standing in the ESG community, or in the community that really, I guess, like is concerned about environmental impact. And on top of that, we don't have an energy footprint when we don't need to, and we're more secure. I mean, in my eyes, I know people will disagree with this, but in my eyes, Ethereum proof of stake is the most secure consensus kind of like engine in the world. I know there's been kind of like some I don't know if I'd call them vulnerabilities, but kind of, I guess, like things found recently that need to be fixed. And that's just early days for Ethereum proof of stake, and there are fixes in place for that. But I think that for a cost benefit analysis, the amount of kind of like money it costs to secure a proof of stake network is vastly less than a proof of work network. And you also get, in my eyes, a better trade-off with kind of like malicious actors, where we can kind of like force them out and slash their stake, rather than with proof of work. If someone wants to be malicious, you can't really do anything about it. You can't kick them off the network. You can change the hashing algorithm, but that punishes all the honest actors as well. So there is a lot of second order effects to the merge here, guys, outside of that issuance reduction, that I don't think people fully appreciate. I don't think people realize just how good that's going to be for the price of ETH. Obviously, not investment advice, but I truly believe that the merge is going to be incredibly bullish. And it's funny because like we're still burning ETH as well. I know we're not burning as much as we used to be because the fees are down, but the fees aren't going to stay like this forever. If the merge kicks off another ETH bull run, with all the hype and the narrative surrounding it, those fees are going straight back up to 100 Gwei, guys. Like, I don't even need to kind of like debate that. I think that's definitely going to happen. And then we're just going to be burning more ETH on top of that massive issuance reduction. And even at current Gwei prices of around 20, we're still net negative issuance. So, and as I said before, withdrawals aren't being enabled until at least 6 months after in the Shanghai upgrade. So there's going to be a dead zone, a dead period where no new ETH is being issued into the network for at least 6 months. guys, I don't know how many times I can repeat myself here. This is just insane. And I don't care what the price is doing in the short term. I'm still buying as much ETH as I can whenever I can. I really don't give a shit about what price I buy it at now. I just think that people have not fully kind of like digested, like 99% of people in this industry have not even understood, let alone digested, what the merge means for ETH as an asset, what it means for Ethereum as a network, and all the second order effects that flow on from that. So I hope you guys are. I hope the few thousand that watch and listen to the Refuel are fully aware of this by now, acutely aware of it even by now, because I've talked about it so much for so long, and I hope that I've kind of like helped you to basically shape your, I guess, thesis around ETH and Ethereum and things like that, because, I'm not lying. This is all based on hard fact. I'm not selling you a narrative. I'm literally giving you the facts, the way it's going to be, based on the code, essentially, right? And kind of like my kind of opinion on it as well. But maybe it takes 6-12 months after the merge for people to kind of like digest this. I don't know. Maybe, maybe there's kind of like a bunch of hype and traders just taking advantage of the merge as an event to trade around, and there's a lot of volatility. I actually expect that to happen because the same thing happened when the Beacon chain launched, and obviously we see a lot of volatility around other coins when they have major product launches and things like that. But I do think that long term, the merge coupled with the burn and everything else going for Ethereum is stupidly bullish, and buying ETH here in my eyes, and it's why I keep doing it, is a good bet. It could go down from here. It could drop 50% from here. I don't know. But I don't really care, to be honest, right? I'm in it for the long term, as you guys know, and I hope all of you are as well. All right, and this is just Ultrasound Money posting a meme about the issue introduction here, where it's going from 15,000 per day to 1.5K per day. And, this guy sitting in the corner saying they don't know at the party. I'm sure you guys have seen this meme. I feel like this guy in the corner all the time. Not just, in real life, but kind of like online, different social circles. I'm sitting there being like, they really don't know. They don't know that this massive issue introduction is coming. They don't know all the stuff that I was talking about before. Obviously not you guys, but like most people, as I was mentioning before. I'm not gonna rehash that, but yeah, I just thought that was a funny little meme that I kind of related to there. All right, an update out of Rocketpool today. So their new node operator page is now live. So if you're interested in becoming a node operator, you can visit this page here, which is at rocketpool.net/node-operators. And this will walk you through exactly how to do that, which is really, really cool. So, this is just helping, I guess, decentralize the Rocketpool network, obviously adding to the decentralization of the Ethereum Beacon chain, and post-merge just the Ethereum network in general. There's a bunch of different tools on here like sliders, and you can kind of like see what the APR is and things like that at different ETH staked and kind of like with commissions and things like that. So, and kind of like information that you need on how to get involved and kind of like what the gas costs are. There's a lot of information here. Like you can see, I'm just scrolling through the page right now. I highly recommend you going and checking it out. And as usual, I recommend joining the Rocketpool Discord. I wish I had more time to spend in there, but one of the best Discord channels I ever go in. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I always love going in there because I feel so welcomed. Like, honestly, like I go in there, I make a few comments, when I've got some time, and I just feel like a superstar going in there. So it's actually a really, really humbling feeling. And as I've said before, Rocketpool is one of my favorite projects for numerous reasons. So if you're willing and able and interested in becoming a Rocketpool node operator, and you have the minimum, which is 17.6 ETH here, then definitely go kind of like check this out. I'll link it in the YouTube description for you below. All right, so L2Beat has put together a thread today about what they've been working on recently. So they've been quiet, as they said here, but they have been busy. So they're obviously getting ready for the Layer 2 Amsterdam conference, which I'm hoping to see a lot of you guys at. So I'm going to be there for sure. They've been working on a DYDX escape hatch and making it a reality, which I think I mentioned on the Refuel of, I don't know how long ago. I think it was a few months ago. Yeah, in December of 2021. And they're working on setting up monitoring infrastructure for rollups. Users will be informed of upgrades, important security parameter changes, etc. A new risk framework. And they made friends at ETH Denver and be working on a risk framework for bridges. So a lot happening on the L2Beat side. You guys know that L2Beat is one of my favorite projects in this space, one of my favorite websites. And I'm really interested in kind of like this monitoring infrastructure that they're going to be setting up and how that will kind of work, because that'll be really cool for users to be able to sign up. Maybe it's a paid service, maybe it's it's not, maybe there are just certain things that are paid, like a premium service, but I think that's actually would be really important because imagine a lot of these kind of like L2s, rollups, whatever you want to call them, have these training wheels and centralized admin keys on them. and you want to be notified when they've done kind of like an upgrade to the network or when it's offline or something like that, and you want to have like an all-in-one reliable service to do that. Well, that's what L2Beat seems to want to be able to provide here. So I think reliability of these services is the thing to get right, because there's been times where some of these services, not L2B but other similar services, have basically not been reliable enough to tell people when something has gone wrong. And that obviously defeats the whole purpose, because it's all well and good for it to tell you that everything is fine, nothing has changed in like the steady state, the normal state, but you don't really care about it at that point. What you care about is when the change does actually happen, and if the service isn't there and ready to show you that information, then it's a useless service. So I have full faith in the L2Beat team. I mean, they are amazing. They are some extremely smart people. They know exactly what they're talking about and exactly what they're doing. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing them ship all of this. And they also said there's more initiatives that will be announced in the near future as well. So very much looking forward to everything that L2Beat has coming down the pipeline. All right, so finally here, we have StarkNet Alpha 0.8.0, which is now live on testnet with an important feature, fee mechanism. So this feature will be optional for the current version to allow the ecosystem to learn how to implement it. And there's a bunch of other things that are new as well. So you can check out this blog post here for basically what's new in StarkNet Alpha 0.8.0. As I said, this is on testnet, not mainnet right now. And the major addition is a fee mechanism. Now, obviously, as I said before, every L2, regardless if they offer extremely cheap fees, is going to have a fee market, a fee mechanism, because as kind of like StarkWare details here, it's crucial for system performance, right? As it prevents spamming. Now, that's the number one thing I think that a fee market is really good at, right? Other than, I guess, like balancing the supply and demand, it's good at just reducing the spam, because we've seen this play out on other chains before, especially Solana, which has obviously very, very cheap fees. The network just gets spammed because it's so cheap to do. And then you can either implement a fee market, which they're pretty much doing at this point, or you can do something like quality of service. You can drop transactions that you suspect are spam, which I don't really like. I prefer fee markets. And that means that everything has to have a fee market in my mind. And that doesn't mean that the fees have to be really high, but there's going to be kind of like an equilibrium point where if the fees are too low, there's going to be too much spam. If the fees are too high, end users are going to get hurt. So there's going to be like a healthy middle ground. I'm not sure where that middle ground is going to be. We're going to have to see what happens there. And I honestly think that long term, all of these roll-up operators and networks are just going to be paying the fees for their users themselves by taking fees out of other places. So as DYDX does, as I've explained before, rather than charging the fees directly to the user, so that the user just gets a seamless kind of like experience, right? Like seamless, fast transactions, free transactions, free for them, but obviously being paid in the background because these L2s still need to pay Ethereum L1 for their security and all that good stuff there. And obviously the operators of these L2s need to be paid too in some way when you want to decentralize it out. So definitely go check out this blog post from StarkWare here. I'll link it in the YouTube description. But I have a few more minutes here left today. So I did want to kind of like talk about something. I saw a fair few comments in the Discord channel about the market being really boring right now. I know I spoke about the markets recently, but I wanted to just kind of like touch on something really funny. The way I feel about the market right now is the way I felt about it in 2019, where it is boring, guys. Like, it's so boring. People are on Twitter making multi-million-dollar bets on the price of an asset a year from now. I don't know if you guys saw that today about Luna, because they're so bored. Traders are getting chopped up. There's no clear trend. It's just very, very boring. But the amazing thing about the Ethereum ecosystem, the amazing thing about being in it for the technology, is that no matter what the price is doing, it's pretty much impossible to be bored. I'm still here every day giving you guys half an hour of Ethereum updates, essentially every single weekday. There's still, and I'm not even covering everything. I'm not even scratching the surface a lot of the time. I'm just keeping it, high level to the things that I think are most interesting. And this is regardless of what the price is doing. Price goes up, price goes down, price goes sideways. Ethereum keeps going. Ethereum keeps chugging along. The building keeps happening. As I've mentioned before, there's plenty of money left in this ecosystem to fund builders, for the next decade at least. And there are a lot of teams still raising at crazy valuations. I mentioned some of them recently with, StarkWare's rumored $6 billion valuation raise. And then Immutable X had their Immutable had their $2.5 billion raise. So when you take a look at it like that, or holistically, the market is the market. It's going to do what it's going to do. As I mentioned earlier, I don't think the merge is priced in. I don't think anything around Ethereum is priced in, to be honest. I think people still have absolutely no idea about a lot of things when it comes to Ethereum. They just don't understand it. I've always said that the most bullish thing for Ethereum is to be understood. I think I got that from Ryan Sean Adams, and it's so true, right? The more people that understand Ethereum, understand its roadmap, its vision, understand how ETH accrues value due to Ethereum kind of growing, the more the more valuable ETH becomes. And I think that's the bet you're making when you're investing in ETH. You're basically betting that as time goes on, more and more people will become aware of the things that you are aware about Ethereum and about ETH, and naturally the price will rise because of that. Now, can the price fall 50% from here? Sure, it can. Will it be really scary? Of course it will. That would mean like a 1250 ETH. That would be below the previous market cycle's all-time high. That would be unprecedented. So I think there's a low chance of that happening, but there's always a chance. Should that prevent you from buying now if you want to? Probably not, right? Like DCAing in and out, probably a good strategy over the long term. Like as I said, I buy when I can. But I can't sit here and tell you, like so many other people will sit there and tell you what the market's going to do. I don't know what ETH is going to do. I don't know what Bitcoin's going to do. I don't know what everything else is going to do over the short term. Even over the long term, I can basically say with relative confidence that a lot of things are never going to come back. A lot of them are just going to be down 90+% because we've seen this happen before. But there are a handful of things that will go on and continue going and get much bigger than what they are today. But I can't tell you when that's going to happen. I can just tell you that I believe it's going to happen. I could be totally wrong, of course, but I don't think I am, of course, right? But just sitting and staring at charts and watching ETH go sideways, there's no point. Go out there, learn about the technology. Plenty of stuff to read, plenty of ways to get involved, plenty of things to do. If you're not working in crypto and you want to work in crypto, now's the best time to get a job, as I mentioned before. So I just wanted to kind of like reiterate all that because I've seen people just be bored. And really, I just don't understand how you could be bored in this industry if you were doing the right things. And maybe you are just in it for the money. That's totally fine. Like there's no, it's a bit puzzling why you'd be watching the refuel if you're just in it for the money, but that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, most people are in it for the money. And you can be in it for the money over the short term, make the money, and then be in it for the technology over the long term because you just wanted to make the money to enable you to basically focus on the technology more. Totally fine again. But if you are in it for the tech, there's no reason to be staring at the charts, worrying about the price over the short to medium term. There is every reason to be getting more involved with everything, learning as much as you can about the technology, and investing in yourself. As I always say, guys, the best thing I ever did was invest in myself rather than invest in the markets directly, because that paid off more than any of my investment into ETH, into anything that I bought on public markets. Investing in myself paid off a million times more, not just on the money side of things, but on the social side of things. So that is advice. Like that is life advice, not investment advice. That is life advice. I strongly encourage you to invest in yourself in any which way that you can. Maybe I should detail that one day and like how exactly to do that. But I think that the TLDR is that just improve yourself in any way that you can. Even small iterative improvements every day over time add up. That's what I did over the last few years, and it added up really quickly, and it compounds from there, and you get to a position where you basically are very, very happy. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for today. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone.